So who's your sleeper? I mean, you've been around the training camps. You're hearing a lot of whispers. You're hearing a lot of talk. Who's your sleeper, Albert? What do you got for me this year?
I kind of like where the Raiders are. I know that sounds like, I like it sounds weird saying that because they were in the playoffs last year, right? So can a team that was in the playoffs last year be a sleeper? I just sort of feel like they're the afterthought in the NFC West. Like everybody's excited, and rightfully so, over Justin Herbert and what he might be capable with the Chargers. Obviously, Russ being in Denver has given the Broncos a jolt of energy, as has Nathaniel Hackett. So there's reason to be excited about those two teams. And the Chiefs are the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been the kings of that division for a long time now. I just look at like a Vegas team that was in the playoffs last year. It still has a lot of like good rising young talent. Our friend Mike Mayock did not do a bad job there. Like I think there was a good roster in place. And then you add Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones. Like I don't know why that hasn't gotten as much attention, Rich, but like that's like a franchise player on each side of the ball. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
So do I think the Raiders are going to Super Bowl? Probably not. Could I see them like winning around in a loaded AFC and surprising people with how big a problem they are? I think I could, and so I think Josh McDaniels is going to be much better the second time around. And I just like look at that Raiders roster, and if Mike Mayock did a good enough job to get them to the playoffs last year, and that was left in place where they got there with the interim coach in 2021, and you're adding like literally one of the best receivers, if not the best receivers in the league, and one of the best edge rushers in football, if not the best edge rusher in football, to the mix. Why aren't we talking about them a little bit more? That confounds me a little bit.
Well, I've been on them. I've been sad. I think they're going to win the division. I think they win the AFC West, and I don't know how far they're going to go, obviously. But when you say you add a franchise player on each side of the ball, normally when you add a franchise receiver, it takes a while for that receiver to get to know the quarterback and vice versa. They've known each other forever. They're tight. They're best friends. They
teenagers, right?
Right. They can look at each other and know exactly what the other one's thinking. So the adjustment is going to be less significant. I think Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow and Josh McDaniels there, I dig them. What about the Giants? I mean, we saw Daniel Jones against Cincinnati, 14-16 and a tip drill pick. I just feel like Brian Daboll might figure out how to protect him or do, give him the opportunity that he hasn't had since he was drafted out of Duke, and Saquon stays healthy. I don't know. I don't know why I'm itching on the Giants as a sleeper team. You tell me. Walk me through it.
Yeah, I think the reason why you're itching on them is because of the job that Brian Daboll did with Josh Allen.
Right.
Which is obviously exemplary, right? Like, and I think it's a fair way to look at it. Like, if there's someone who's going to be able to get a little bit more out of Daniel Jones, it's probably the guy who developed Josh Allen in Buffalo from being a really, really raw, talented, smart kid coming out of Wyoming into a guy who I think we all think is going to be in the running for league MVP this year. So, I get that. I just think the roster needs too much work all over. I mean, and I think like sort of the way they've approached the offseason is a sign of it, where to me it's sort of like this is like 2018 in Buffalo for those guys, where in the second year of Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane there, they sort of took the thing down to the studs and created a situation where they were able to like bring in their sorts of guys and build from the ground up. And I just look at like their off season, how they, we're looking at budget moves and free agency and bringing in program guys. And then I look at like their draft and the investment that they've made in the lines of scrimmage with Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau in the first round. And I just think it's unfortunate for Daniel Jones, but I think he might have caught the team at the wrong time. Where I think Daboll is going to make a difference for him, but I just think that this is sort of their turn the page type of year.